Hello, welcome to our technical demonstration video. My name is Derek and I will be showing you how our gateway works. I will start off by showing you the Apogee architecture and where our gateway will sit on your network. So one of the features we have is, so this is an image of a device running our software, and it connects onto this connection point, which is the P2 485 or the P2 Ethernet, which is drawn up over here, but it's much the same as this. So if it's P2 485 or P2 Ethernet, you can use the same drawing to represent both. And our device connects on and gives you read-write access to the databases in all the panels, as well as all the attached TC devices. And one of the nice things is that it's compatible with the Insight software, which means that you can integrate the site without bringing the site offline, and you can build your new user interface and compare notes with the Insight server. So it makes the engineering much simpler because you're replicating what's on the Insight server, taking it across, and then testing that each page does page for page the same as what the other system does. And when you finish that, you've got the system transferred. At that point, you have the option of removing the Insight server, although there are, depending on the design of the system, there may be other things that need to be done before you can remove the Insight server. Our system doesn't rely on the Insight server. However, the design of the system might require the Insight server to be there for it to operate unless you make some changes. This is the Insight server, and it hosts this very old Windows software that is called Insight for Apogee, and I've got a copy of that. So I've got it running in a virtual machine over here. So this is my Windows XP virtual machine, and this is the Apogee Insight. So this is this is my test bed that I'm going to show you how it works. So if we go to the system profile, and we have a look. So I've defined 3 BLNs for this particular setup, but only the Ethernet BLN is connected. And I've actually only got one controller running at the moment. So there's just this PXC that's running over here. And I've got a little graphic to show you what's in that PXC. So if we have a look here, so these data points are on that PXC device, and I wrote a little script to make the digital point toggle on and off. So every 2 seconds it changes state, just a simple thing. And then my gateway is running in a virtual machine, and that's what it looks like. And it doesn't have a user interface, and I use BACnet for accessing the device. So my Tridium clients normally just discover my gateway using Tridium. You go into the drivers, the BACnet drivers, and the device discovery, and then you find my device, and then you bring down the devices you're interested in, and then you discover the points, and it's much the same as my BACnet browser. So let me show you my browser. So this is just a little BACnet client, and when I press the connect button, it'll send out a broadcast who is to on that port, and we'll get an IM from each of the BACnet devices. And this one at the top is the gateway that I showed you earlier on. So this is the BACnet view, and if I open this up here, this is the PXC that we've been looking at. And if I open the binary values, so this digital point or binary value over here that is in BACnet is the same point as you can see from the Insight software that is toggling on and off over there. So if we open it up, The Apogee has this priority. It doesn't have a priority array as BACnet does. It just has got a priority point, and its priority point is currently set to none. If we set it, I've mapped the highest priority to slot 8 in BACnet, and if we set it to on, then you'll see it changes to on, and the priority changes to operator, which is the highest priority in Apogee, and that's mapped to slot 8. So I'll set I've supported every second slot. So I use 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So if I set 10 to off, then you'll see that is now filled in, but it's still on because the higher priority is set. And if we relinquish the higher priority, then it'll drop down to the next one, which is smoke. So we've set it to smoke, and it's now off. So here we're writing from BACnet to the point in the PXE, and you can see it reflected on the Insight system. If we go to Insight and we set it back to operator, and we set it back to on, command, close. So from Insight, we set it back to on, and if we go back to the BACnet, we'll see that it's working in both directions. So you've got full read-write access to the whole Apogee system from my gateway, and you can build on your Tritium. You can do all the engineering, and you can build out all the graphics, and you can test it against the Insight system live. And when you're happy, you can remove the Insight system and rely on the new system that you've created. So that's the kind of workflow that we're looking at. In terms of the mapping, so you'll see that in Apogee, you've got this unique system name for each point. So I created these points to test the different data types. So this was a logical digital output. And you can see that in the BACnet, we give you the name as the property for the present value. So the name that's in the database, you get in BACnet. The description that may or may not be entered by the engineer, you get that shown as well. The text for the on and off state, it may be day and night or high and low, fast, slow, whatever it is. You get whatever text has been entered for the point, you get that text shown in BACnet. So whatever I can get from the Apogee system, I've translated it across into the BACnet system. This makes life much easier when you're at the BACnet interface and you're wanting to replicate what's on the Insight system, because the Insight system uses these names, and you can find the same names in my BACnet objects, and then you can populate the correct points. So that's how we tie everything up. The things that we don't do, what you'll need to be aware of. So one of the things is in the Insight system, you can edit your programs that run on your panels. So these panels run a program language called PPCL, and you can edit your PPCL programs from Insight. We do not provide any PPCL editing facilities at all. We map a static system for you from the panels directly into BACnet. So if you want to make changes to these programs, you need to keep your Insight PC handy. You can't just retire it. The second item is the schedules. So the Insight system manages the schedules that run on all these panels to make devices turn on and off at certain times, and we do not export that to BACnet. So you must create a fresh set of schedules to control the site. We don't export any information for you. as such. What we do export is the design of Apogee is that they often use zones, and a zone might be a floor of an office or something, and they would put all of the devices for that zone into the zones in the Apogee system. And so if you want to turn on and off the devices on that floor, you switch the zone to occupied or not occupied. And we give you the zones. So we map the zones into the database from the database to BACnet. So you have the same ability to switch the whole floor on and off as the Insight system has. And because you've got the Insight system already switching the zones on and off, you need to use a higher priority. So the Insight system will be switching the zones on and off at level 16. And so you use level sort of 12 or 10 or 8, whatever level you want. Anything above 16, and your schedule will take priority over the Insight schedule for the site. Most contractors who go into a site, they want to integrate the site to the new system, but then they want a plan for how to upgrade the system so that when a device fails, how do they replace the parts without breaking the system? These devices have got these PPCL programs in, and they can depend on each other, and that's the catch. And we have tools in place to let you know exactly how to handle that. The other thing is, if a panel fails, then you've got these FLN devices with all the TECs that suddenly become orphaned. And we have a device called an IP modem that we can pop in there, and it'll pick up the P1 networks and bring all these devices back into our gateway. So we can help in terms of upgrading the site and minimizing the downtime. So if a device fails, you replace it. And obviously, there's quite a lot of work involved in that, but you don't have to worry about all the TEC devices. We've got a very simple switch over from this configuration to picking up the same devices, putting them back in the gateway, and you don't have to worry about those anymore. This is my gateway, and you get a separate device for each of the panels, and you get a separate device for each of the TECs. And what this means is that you can create a template for a TEC device, and then you can apply it to each of the devices that has that same application number. So it makes your work much easier.
Thanks for watching this video. If you are ready for a quote, please send us your system profile report. You can send it to info@PurpleSwift.com. If you are ready for a free of charge consultation, you can set this up by emailing us at info@PurpleSwift.com. We look forward to hearing from you.